Am I the a-hole for keeping no contact with my sister after her husband, my ex, died? When I, 22 female, was 14, I started dating Jace, who was 15 at the time. We were together for 3 years. We'd known each other for years, and I always had the biggest crush on him. My sister Lauren, 23 female, knew. She was one of my best friends, and I thought we told each other everything. But Lauren and Jace were cheating behind my back, and Lauren got pregnant. I didn't know at first and was the first person she told, and I supported her. It was only after she told our parents, and they pushed her to say who the father was, that she confessed. I broke up with Jace, who didn't care. He was done with me and wanted Lauren anyway. Meanwhile, Lauren kept begging me to forgive her for hurting me and begged me to still be close to her. I refused, and when Lauren moved in with Jace and his family, it was a relief. My parents attempted to force forgiveness on me. They took me to a church therapist, and they had a number of talks with me about Lauren being my sister for life and Jace being just a high school boyfriend. All it did was push me away from my parents, and when I turned 18, I moved in with my grandma. I had very low contact with my parents and no contact with Lauren and Jace. They got married just before the baby was born, and I ignored the invite. I ignored them when they had their first and then second kid. Lauren made several attempts to speak to me and apologize more, but I ignored them, and I told extended family that I wasn't going to change my mind. Some were quick to say I was a silly child, and I'd regret throwing my sister away. Others said I was so young, and we both were, and hurting people's feelings when you're young happens. And why couldn't I hate Jace and forgive Lauren? My grandma always said nobody was making it better by pushing. Grandma stood by me through all of this. When Lauren asked her to help pull off a surprise reunion so she could speak to me, Grandma turned her down. She told Lauren she wasn't coming to the house as long as I lived there, and she told her she would not help her trick me, or anything crazy like that. Some of the wider family, my parents included, are mad at Grandma, but she said if Lauren can have her mistakes forgiven by everyone else, and be allowed to feel and do what she wants, then I should be given the same grace. But it was always argued that the difference was I was ending a relationship for good while Lauren made a single mistake. Last month, Jace died suddenly. I don't know what happened exactly, but Grandma got the call about it. Then more calls came and asked me to finally move on and speak to Lauren and support her as a sister should. I didn't. I didn't go to the funeral, and neither did Grandma actually. She said even if she had wanted to, she knew the time would be spent trying to browbeat her into forcing me to reconcile with Lauren, and a funeral is not the place for that, so she was removing herself from it. Grandma has been getting grief from so many people in the family who think I should have let go of the no contact now that Jace is dead. Since I never respond to any family members who think I need to forgive Lauren, they go through her. I hate that she deals with it, but she doesn't block them because she wants to see just how far they'll go with her. She said they're helping her trim her will, which I find funny, and I love Grandma's humor. But I feel awful that she's getting the abuse the rest of the family can't give me. It made me want to ask if I'm the a-hole for keeping the no contact going with Lauren, and if people outside my family think I'm a monster. I have the support of friends and also some family. It's just, I know we were really young when all this happened. I know once Jace cheated with Lauren, he would have done it with anyone. So I know it's not like we'd have lasted like I imagined. But Lauren doing it to me just makes it worse, because I loved and trusted her and was there for her. So she betrayed me, and even leaned on me when their cheating led to a pregnancy. Ever since I found out, I wished she wasn't my sister. I could never see even a civil relationship for us in the future. But I'm aware that it might make people think I'm the a-hole and not her, especially now that Jace has died. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, not even close. Your grandma is a legend. She is. I would have been so lost without her. She's my favorite person, and I hope I can be like her as I grow older. What I think the real problem is here is that every time she's confronted by the fact of your absence and avoidance, it just reminds her what an awful, crappy person and sister she is. It's like an anchor around her neck. The rest of the family sees her being hurt, honestly as she should be, and they want to resolve that. And all you have to do is ignore your pain, lose your morals and dignity, and act like a family member again so they can all go back to their quiet, happy lives. The cost to you is immaterial to them. They just don't care that this silly childhood infatuation you had ended so badly. Clearly, Lauren and Jace were supposed to be together. They got married and had kids. They were the real couple. You were just a school fling. That's all BS, obviously. Your family is avoiding the fact that they probably didn't do more than throw some disapproving glances at Lauren and refuse to accept that she's a cesspit of a human being. You should never back down on this. Grandma's old enough and clearly tough enough to fight this battle. For all you know, she might even enjoy it. So, your sister willingly and knowingly sleeps with your boyfriend and now she wants forgiveness over a mistake? She knew what she was doing, and so did he. If she didn't want to lose the bond you two had, she shouldn't have done it. It's her fault and only hers. And if she wants to point the finger at others, then continue to keep your distance. It's clearly in your best interest, not the a-hole. Not only that, but I would then be expected to be fine with her and him being together, getting married and having kids together. So it was a mistake, but one I would have to support. Do you still talk to your parents? And if so, are they still trying to force forgiveness? Nope. I don't speak to them anymore. I tried to just be low contact, but they'd use any contact I allowed to try and force forgiveness on me. The guilt trips were insane. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my brother's family stay with me after they lost their home? I, 34 male, own a modest 3-bedroom house that I bought 5 years ago. I live alone and use one bedroom as my home office. I work from home full-time, and the other as a guest room and hobby space where I keep my music equipment and gaming setup. My brother, 38 male, and his wife, 36 female, recently lost their home due to financial issues. They have 3 kids, 12 female, 10 male, and 7 female. Their financial problems stem from a series of poor decisions. My brother lost his good-paying job 2 years ago after repeatedly showing up late, then bounced between jobs while his wife worked part-time. They kept their kids in expensive private schools and activities they couldn't afford, refused to downsize from their large house, and ignored my parents and my advice about budgeting. Eventually, they couldn't keep up with mortgage payments and were foreclosed on. When they lost their home, they asked if they could stay with me just for a few months until they get back on their feet. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I said no. My reasons? 1. My house is simply too small for 6 people. They'd need to take over my entire living space. 2. I need my home office to work, and I can't work effectively with 3 kids running around. 3. I value my peace and quiet, and frankly, I don't want my life turned upside down. 4. Their few months could easily turn into a year or more based on their financial history. 5. My parents offered to let them stay in their larger home, but they refused because they don't want to live by my parents' rules. Instead of letting them stay, I offered to pay for a hotel for 2 weeks and help them find an affordable apartment. I also offered to cover their security deposit. My brother exploded, calling me selfish and saying I have plenty of space and am choosing things over family. My parents are torn. They understand my position, but think I could make it work temporarily. Since then, my brother's family moved in with my parents, despite not wanting to earlier, and I'm getting constant texts from extended family about how I abandoned my brother in his time of need. My brother's wife is posting passive-aggressive things on social media about finding out who your real family is during hard times. So, am I the a-hole for not letting them stay with me? Not the a-hole. It's not your responsibility to fix what your brother let fall apart. They should have managed their money better to avoid this situation. Who in their right mind would move an entire family into a house that does not easily accommodate them? Your house is set up for you. I'm sure you would end up being their personal babysitter as well. Things would get damaged, or if they don't want to follow your parents' rules, I'm sure they aren't going to want to follow yours either. Exactly this, not the a-hole. If they won't respect OP parents' rules, they wouldn't respect him either. Not the a-hole. They had a better alternative, living with your parents, that they were against because they didn't want to follow the rules. Unless your parents have insane rules, I'm guessing your brother thought he and his family could railroad you and take over your home completely. You offered a lot of very reasonable help. And if he truly wanted to get his life together, he would have taken you up on your offer to help him find an apartment and pay for the security deposit. Any family members who are giving you a hard time can offer to let your brother live with them. Yep, brother thought he could take over OP's house. One day, OP goes to the grocery store and comes back with the locks changed. OP would lose his house. How many times have we heard that story on various subs? Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband and kids? Hi everyone. I, 38 female, am a stay-at-home mom. Well, I was until recently. I'm married to my husband, 40 male, and we have twin daughters, 14 female. I left my job about a month ago, but the truth is, I've never been able to hold a job for long since I got married. Every time my daughters get sick, which happens a lot because they both have asthma, I'm the one who takes them to the doctor, manages their medications, and stays up all night during their asthma attacks. My husband, he doesn't really help with any of that. To be fair, he's responsible when it comes to work and provides financially. Our bills are paid, and we live comfortably. And honestly, I like taking care of the house. Having a clean home gives me a sense of peace. But here's the thing, no one lifts a finger to help me. I cook, clean, do laundry, everything. And when my husband and daughters come home, they just relax. Not even a thank you. They won't wash their own plates or uniforms, even after I've asked, begged them to help. I've had this conversation with them more times than I can count. 5 times? 10? I lost track. But since I'm starting a new job tomorrow, I told them things had to change. I said I keep doing most of the chores, but they needed to do simple things, like washing their own uniforms and not leaving dirty dishes behind. And I told them, point blank, that if I found even one dirty plate left behind, I'd leave and go stay with my mom. They told me I was stressed and gave me this book about how to stay sane as a stay-at-home mom, which made me feel awful. Well, guess what? Today after school, they ate lunch, left their dirty dishes on a table, and went on with their day like nothing happened. Not even 24 hours after I asked for help. So, I packed a bag and left to stay with my mom. And you know what really hurts? They didn't seem to care. No one called me, no one tried to stop me. It's like I'm invisible. I told them I'll be back in a few days, maybe a week, but I feel so empty and unappreciated. My mom thinks I've spoiled them too much, and maybe she's right. But is it really too much to ask for a little help? So, am I the a-hole for leaving? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but stay away and out of contact for longer than you said. If you go back, it will be a defeat, and you will get even less respect than you do now. They think you have a need to be home and cleaning up after them. Prove them wrong. Spend a month out of contact and focus on your new job. If nothing else, I think doing this will change your own view of yourself. I agree with this. And when you do come back, refuse to clean up all the messes that I'm sure will be waiting for you. Force them to do it, or it will defeat the purpose. You're not going to want to hear this, and I say it as kindly as possible, but you and your husband created this. Your daughters are a product of the environment you created. So what do you do now? They don't care you left. But will they care if you take away what does matter to them? Phones, TV, ground them? Don't let them play sports they love. You need to reel it in now and stop spoiling your daughters, because your mother is right. Leaving your kids and your husband isn't the answer. Being a mom that implements appropriate rules and consequences when they are broken is. And you need your husband on board with this. What I don't understand is why these kids didn't have chores to do starting at a younger age than 14. Why do the kids not do what you tell them? You give them a directive and they just ignore you? At 14, they should be doing laundry, washing dishes, dusting, cleaning the bathroom, helping cook, and so on. It doesn't matter if they're boys or girls. All these years you never taught or made them do anything? There were never any consequences for not obeying you. Did you and your husband ever discuss the kids doing chores? And as a team, what consequences there would be for not doing them? As far as you leaving, my guess is they aren't taking you seriously, and my guess is your husband may be telling them not to call you. They think you will let this blow over and come back. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not carrying my son everywhere after he broke his foot? I, 28 male, have an 8-year-old son who broke his foot last week after falling at the park. The doctors put him in a cast, gave him crutches, and told us he should start using them as soon as possible to get used to moving around. My son is pretty used to being babied. His mom, 27 female, and my family tend to coddle him over every little thing. If he trips, someone rushes to pick him up. If he's tired, they carry him. I've tried to push him toward being more independent, but it's been an uphill battle. For the first couple of days, I carried him when he really needed it, getting him in and out of bed, helping him to the bathroom. But once he started feeling better, I told him he needed to start using his crutches. He complained that they were uncomfortable and that his arms hurt. I understood, so I helped him here and there, but I wasn't going to carry him around when he was perfectly capable of walking with them. Then his mom came over. The moment she saw him struggling, she picked him up and started carrying him everywhere. She wouldn't even let him try to use his crutches, insisting he should be resting. She even brought him food on the couch so he wouldn't have to get up. When I told him to at least try walking, she snapped at me, saying I was being too harsh and that he was just a kid. I reminded her that the doctor told us he needed to start using his crutches, but she wasn't interested in hearing it. Then my mom and sister chimed in, saying, "He's just a little boy. Let him be comfortable." I told them that carrying him everywhere wasn't actually helping him. It was just making things harder in the long run. Sure enough, after a few days of practice, he started moving around fine. He still complains sometimes, but he's getting around on his own. If I had just carried him like everyone else wanted, he'd still be acting helpless. I know I made the right call, but with everyone treating me like the bad guy, I have to ask, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. 8 is old enough to use crutches. Kids younger than that use crutches and wheelchairs. I broke my leg when I was 8. I could almost run on my crutches. Not the a-hole at all. I broke mine when I was 9. The doctor took pity on me 6 weeks in and took the cast off. June heat wave in the days before everyone had AC. I ran through sprinklers on my crutches, won the 3-legged race at the end of school year fun day, swam in the river, went in on the crutches, and my sibling took the crutches back to shore once I was in deep enough water. The only thing I couldn't do was climb trees. OP is definitely not the a-hole. My family tries to baby my son. I remind them continually that I am raising him to be a man, not a boy. We have a cousin who, at 40, still lives with his mom because he's never been asked to face one consequence and has always been babied. Once I say that, they back off for a bit. I also have talks with my son about what successful young men look like, and small amounts of independence per his age are a very important building block. I'm the same way with some relatives with my kids. When they fall, I don't react until they cry or are really hurt. Kids look to the adults for their reactions. Some relatives want to rush to help and even get ice for a tiny bump. It annoys me because I'm trying to raise good adults. I do not want them living with me at 40.